Hello, I'm Carol Clark. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Northern Ireland, covering the UK and Ireland. And I wanted today in my video to celebrate, if you like, some of the gorgeous but retiring sets, because we're coming up, it's now middle of April, we're coming up to a catalogue change. The new main catalogue will be out very, very soon. Very exciting. I shall tell you more about that very soon as well. But before these retire, I wanted to show you some lovely cards with them. And the two ones I want to show you today, I'm using the sentiments from the Peaceful Moments set, but I wanted to focus on the Amazing Silhouettes set, which has got three lovely images, and they are the inkstinctive images, by which I mean, if I can bring them closer, you can perhaps see the background to them. It's not even, it's variated, if you like, or variegated, which is the right word, I don't know. So let me show you a couple of cards I've already made with these. So this was the first one. This is using the butterfly. So you can see there, this is a very old and very not very good stamp that I was ink pad that I was using, Rich Raspberry, which is one of the retiring colours, because that's the other thing I wanted to do today, celebrate the retiring colours. So I got the butterfly there. I've used some little pearls down the middle, a few little brass butterflies because they're going, and I want to use those up too, just a sentiment across. And then I've used from yet another retiring set, this gorgeous decorative borders set. I've used those here just to decorate the edges of my piece. And I've used two retiring colours. I've used Rich Raspberry and I've used Blushing Bride. I couldn't think what it was then. Blushing Bride is the pink. And I've just stamped the butterfly again inside. And of course on the envelope, because you can never have a naked envelope. So that's using the butterfly one. Then I wanted to play around a little bit with the leaves one. I wanted to play, and I've used it sort of backwards in opposite corners. And then, oh, the top of my gems come off. I must sort that. These are retired gems as well, and obviously that one didn't want to stick, so I will have to fiddle with that later, I think. If I can get it off me and onto here. For now, there we go. I'll stick it on properly later. But this again, same principle. This is using basic white as the base this time, with Mango Melody and Pear Pizzazz, and a little bit of ribbon. I didn't have Pear Pizzazz ribbon, that's garden green, and a Mango Melody sentiment just raised on dimensionals. So that was the second card I made with that one. But the stamp I wanted to play with, because it's my favourite from this set, is this one, which is like a big, either one of those tall weeds you get in hedgerows at this time of year that grow up. They're gorgeous. Giant hogweed or something. I don't know. It's not supposed to be very good, but I think it's very pretty. Or a tree. It could be either, really. And what I'm going to do with that one, the other thing I wanted to show, because it's also retiring, and I'm very upset about that, is our wonderful Stamparatus. And the Stamparatus is such a wonderful piece of kit. Because it helps you stamp beautifully, and when you're using big stamps like this, it's just invaluable, because if you don't ink it up properly, it doesn't matter, because you can come back, re-ink it, and it will stamp again in exactly the same place. So I'm going to be using this tree stamp on my Stamparatus. So how to use the Stamparatus, it's very easy to set up. It is going to be available, it's still available from the catalogue, and it will be available as an online exclusive, I understand. But if the stock runs out, then it may stop being available, which would be horrendous. So I've got my card bits here, and I'm using another retiring colour, card stock colour, Soft Suede, which is really sad, and Pear Pizzazz again. And I'm using it with Very Vanilla, because I do think those colours just go together better. So I'm going to just place my base card on my Stamparatus machine and use the magnets just to hold it in place. And then I decide where I want my image. So I probably want it right in the middle, because it's a big image, so we want it to cover the card. So I place the image down, bring the sheet across, press and pick it up. So now I can ink the image, if I haven't lost the ink. Right, there we go. Pear Pizzazz, it's retiring. This is the old style ink pad, which is the one I've had. little hint, I found it helps a lot to just put something like the stamp set cover underneath the plate of the Stamparatus, because it just holds it nicely while you're stamping. Otherwise you're stamping at a bit of an angle, or inking at a bit of an angle. So I'm just going to ink it up, and that's the other beauty of the Stamparatus. It means that it's not difficult to ink big stamps like this, because I can just cover it with the ink there. There's beautiful. And then we can bring it over, stamp down just by pressing right throughout the stamp. Big stamps I like to press throughout, and there we have it. Now, fairly pleased with that, but I think it probably needs to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to re-ink, putting more ink on my stamp here. There we go. There we go, press that down again. And re-inking's just made the image a bit darker, but you can see it hasn't moved a jot. It stayed in exactly the same place, which is just really, really useful. So then I can clean my stamp up, just take the ink off it, that's done. Then we can make the rest of the card. So I'm going to leave the stamp on there because I'm going to do another card in another colour in a minute, just to show you. So that is the base of my card. Then I've got my envelope there and my various bits. So that is going to go on the front here, like this. And then I want a sentiment. So I'm going to use the thank you sentiment from the Peaceful Moments set. And I think I'll stamp that, shut my ink pad because I shouldn't leave them open. I'm going to stamp that in soft suede to match the base of the card. So I've got my two colours going through. Again, my old style ink pad for soft suede, but it's still working fine, so that's great. So just ink up my stamp, and now I can just stamp it in the middle of my strip. There we go. Clean the stamp quickly. And then it's a matter of simply putting the card together. I've got it inside, which I shall decorate in a bit. I'll show you how that's done. So I have a spare strip of pear pizzazz, which I've cut just slightly bigger than the base card. So just to go through the measurements of this card, this is my normal card base. So it's 21 centimetres scored at 10.5 by 14.8. Then I cut this one at 14.3, yeah, 14.3 by 10. And my very vanilla layer is 13.8 by 9.5, that's in centimetres obviously. This strip is the same width, 9.5 by 2 centimetres, and my pear pizzazz strip, which I will cut to size, is actually 2.5 centimetres, so it gives me a little border around there. So I'm just going to cut this to size, except I've put everything on top of my... What a mess, honestly. I've got a huge desk and really I still need a bigger one. So that needs to be 9.5. So I'm just going to quickly trim that on my trimmer here. So now I can stick this on the top. And I'll just do this to show you. I won't make up the full card because I've actually already got one made to show you, and it just saves a bit of time. But I just want to show you that doing it 0.5 centimetre leaves you 1/4 centimetre either side, which I think is just the right sort of border there, which will match the same 2.5 centimetre border that I've got all around the card. So that's my card. Let me show you, that's for the inside. I shall do that later, but let me show you the one that I've already made. And here I've used the same, exactly the same colours that we've just used. That's it made up. I've raised this on dimensionals, and I've also used the top end of the stamp to add a little image inside and also on the envelope. Made a big mistake though. Look, I used a basic white envelope instead of using a very vanilla envelope. I'll get it right with the next one. So that was the first card I made, and I want to show you it in a different colour to show you that it can be very different in a different colour. So this time I'm still using soft suede as my base, but this time I'm going to use it with Mango Melody, and again very vanilla. So again, I've got the bits. I've already done some of these. I've actually already started stamping inside. I'm going to make this a birthday card, and I've used a different sentiment from the Precious Moments set. Life is better with a friend like you. So it's still going to be a birthday card, but we'll stick that across the front. So I'm going to stamp in exactly the same way using the Stamparatus. So again, you can, if you wanted, you could actually mark where your card sits so you can put the next one in. So it's great if you're producing lots and lots of cards for a wedding or for a particular thank you or something. But I know that with this one, what I actually did was put it up to the 2 mark there. So it was actually there. So I could have put pencil marks around it. And then before I stamp, I can just check that is going to actually need it to be slightly higher. As me thought I'd put it to that mark and I hadn't. So it is worth putting a little pencil mark to show where your card base is, but you can easily just check it like this. So this time I'm going to use Mango Melody to match my, oh, if I can get it open. Do you find the new pads, that's not new anymore I suppose, they've been around for ages, but I do find them more difficult to open than the old ones were. It's quite a juicy pad, so I'm sure I'll only need to ink this once. But again, I've got the option to ink it again if I need to. So there's my stamp inked again, just pressing it down. And there we have the outline. Yeah, I think that will actually dry fine. Just wondering whether to do one more ink on top, but I don't think so. I think that's probably okay. So again, I'm just going to clean my stamp because I need to bring it off here now because I want to show you how I've done the insides and just used a partial stamp. So we can take that off the plate. I can take my inked front off my Stamparatus and then I can start making this up. So the inside piece, I've already stamped Happy Birthday on it, but I'm going to use the top end of my stamp to just stamp in the corner, and I'm going to do the same with the envelope. So I actually can use a small block because I'm only going to be inking the top bit of the stamp. So I can use a smaller block. I also, switch that out, I also need a piece of spare paper behind because it will be going off the corner of this. So I can now ink up just that top bit of my stamp there. And I'm going to have it just in the corner. So that then matches the top. And I've also got my envelope here. So I can do exactly the same thing with my envelope. So stamp, just ink up the top bit of the stamp and we'll have it in the corner of the envelope like that. So now I've got a matching envelope and inside that'll match my image on the front. And I really like these instinctive stamps because I do think they look beautiful. Let's get rid of that a second. If I can bring this closer so you can see it. Have I got that where it is? There we go. Can you see how it's sort of dotted and variegated? So you've got some darker bits and some lighter bits. And I think they just look beautiful, I have to say. I really like those types of stamps for certain images. They don't work with everything. So there is my envelope. I've got my inside, so I can very quickly put this card together and show you the finished version side by side with the other one. So again, I mentioned this before, but I use Tombow more and more. I used to use tape for everything, and now I use Tombow for everything. There are still times when it's better to use a tape, to be honest, but there. Now I haven't put the extra green layer in the middle, the extra Mango Melody layer inside. I don't think it needs it, but I have it on top because that's where I wanted it. I think it looks better. Some people, when they're using the Tombow, just actually, oh, do you know what? That's not the right size. I need to cut that down, which is bad now. I put glue on it, but never mind. Always measure twice, folks. So I need that to be 10. Oh, look, it isn't, yes. So we'll just take that off. Now I'm going to leave my trimmer blade open just in case it's picked any glue up. I don't want any glue on there. Just re-glue that. There, look at me not being prepared as I thought I was. There we go. My dad had a saying, which was measure twice, cut once, which is supposed to be doing with carpentry and wood, but it totally applies in card making as well. Measure twice, cut once. Remember that. It's a good maxim to live by, because you don't waste stuff nearly as much then. There. So then my sentiment. There. And I'm going to use some dimensionals on the back of it. We'll have 3 across there. Just like on the other card. I like to have it somewhere here. Now you can always add other things. You can add ribbon if you wanted. I shall perhaps use some more of these dots because I need to use those up again. So those would look nice on this card. So we'll put a few of those on. Let's see, we'll have my little rows of 3 again, because I quite like my rows of, oh no, we might actually have slightly differently here. I think we'll have that big one, and whoops, and the 2 slightly smaller ones, just like that. I quite like my gems in groups of 3. I think 3 is a lovely figure. It actually looks really good. Do you know what? I might put them the other side as well. Oh, there's another one where the top has come off the sticky bit. Perhaps it's because they're old and I haven't used them enough. I've used loads, you can see, and that's the thing about the Stampin' Up things. They you know, they last forever because there's so much in each pack. I mean, look how many gems you get, and I've only used a few of them. Anyway, there we are. That's what I'm going to do for this one. So I've added a few gems in the corner. Not quite even, but I can fiddle with those a bit in a bit. That was rushing, wasn't it? Anyway, nice sentiment across the middle. Decorated the inside, decorated the envelope. So that makes a lovely stamp. A lovely card to send to somebody. You can see how different it looks against this one here, the thank you. So play around with colours. When you're making cards, have a good play around with colours. Here's the other ones. These are done in white. So they won't look very good on these. I'll just put them on there so you can see these other 2. Have a play with the stamp sets you've got. Try them in different ways. And yeah, enjoy your card making. Use up all your retired stuff, because we love some of our retired stuff. I'm distraught that Pear Pizzazz is going because it's my favourite green. But hey, there are some others coming back which are going to be beautiful. And one of my other favourite colours, Rich Raspberry, that I did the butterfly in, that's going too, which is, again, I'm distraught, as is Highland Heather, which is yet another of my favourites. But luckily we're keeping Gorgeous Grape and we're getting some lovely new colours, plus fresh freesia from our current in colours, which retire again at the end of the month. 4 of them are retiring, but fresh freesia, which is my favourite of those, is staying again. So if you'd like to hear more from me, please go to the website and sign up for my emails. And do subscribe and like this channel if you've enjoyed my videos, and I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.